The Keratoma used to be here, running up here. He had a full Keratoma surgery where the whole area was taken away. I had it once where it popped out at the bottom of the hoof. Hello, my name is Harry Spinks and I am a farrier based in the south of England. This is Dragon, who is now incredibly bored about life. Today we are showing you Dragon's Keratoma recovery journey. It's been 2 years now and his foot's looking amazing. We will be including some photos post-surgery. If you're a bit squeamish or if you're worried about blood, then it might be worth keeping an eye out on this video for the photos that come up, because they are post-surgery and there is blood involved. Yeah, so we're a little bit thrushy in here. So all I'm doing at the moment is just cutting this excess foot up where it's covering all this thrush. Thrush is a bacteria that thrives in moist conditions. There we go. So this foot is the Keratoma foot and it's all healed now. But it was in this area here, and you can see this divot in here, and that's where it grew out. A keratoma is a benign tumour that forms within the hoof capsule, normally through trauma to the top of the hoof essentially, and the bit at the top of the hoof that grows hoof. And then it grows down and it basically forms a bit of a tumour in there in a cavity. And you can tell if your horse has got a keratoma, well, the only real reason is through a radiograph or through an MRI, but you can also tell because you might get reoccurring abscesses. So Dragon here had navicular on his right fore, just to like throw things into the mix, and then he had a bit of a reoccurring abscess and a hole on this left fore here, and he went for an MRI scan anyway, and they picked up on the keratoma on the MRI scan. It was, what were we, 2 years? 2 years ago. So this is 2 years ago, and it took about 9 months to a year to heal fully. Yeah, and as you can see, there is still a little hole here, and there will always be a little hole here because the horn tubules that are inside of it. So the foot is made out of horn tubules. You've got tubular horn, intra-tubular horn and inter-tubular horn, and the intra-tubular horn is inside of the tubular horn, but the inter-tubular horn locks it together like cement, and that whole structure has been altered within this hoof capsule, which is why you will always get a little deviation within the solar surface of the hoof like that, and like this little bit here. When he originally had it, he had a plate on, which we'll try and put up on the screen now, and that was there to protect it. And then it was basically just diligence of the owner and keeping it clean and dry, and keeping him trimmed and shod on a regular cycle, with a pad and a bar shoe underneath, which allowed that foot to heal, and it's healed really well, to be fair. So he had a full keratoma surgery where the whole area was taken away, and they can do almost like keyhole surgery for it, which is less invasive, but you don't know whether you've taken the whole area away. And as you can see, this foot's a bit more deformed as well, so we're quite contracted through this inside, and part of that is because of the surgery that he underwent and how that foot morphed and changed over time. But you can see here, I don't know if you can pick it up on the camera, but there's just like little yellow specks, and that's how that horn tubule's like changed. But we'll pack that hole with arty mud before we nail the shoe on, and that frog as well. So ideally, when we're shoeing him, we would give him a little bit of support down this inside, but Dragon loves to pull shoes off. So he's going to get a little bit, but he's not going to get masses. So a keratoma is caused, or can be caused, by trauma to the top of the foot. So the tumour forms with keratinized tissue, but it hasn't formed proper horn tubules. And then it grows down, within the hoof capsule. But because there's a void there, it grows into that void. Well, we don't know. Yeah, we don't know what caused it in Dragon. He did have navicular on this foot, because this is his more broken back foot. And then his more upright foot, the other foot, had a keratoma. We kind of semi-suspecting something was going on, because he had quite a lot of abscessing and a hole in that foot around that area. But he went for an MRI for this foot, and they found the fact that he had a keratoma when they were doing the MRI. So we didn't really know fully what was going on before he went to the vets for an MRI surgery, or MRI, and then he had surgery whilst he was there. And then, as I said, we put a plate on it to protect it for a little bit, and then so he had 4 months of box rest, and then he was in the field for about 4 months before he could be ridden again. But he's now living the dream and not doing that much. I will show you. So I'll put some pictures on the screen of what they did in the surgery. But essentially, they took away the area. So on the other foot, the keratoma's on that inside. They basically cut a hole straight down that inside of that foot to remove that keratoma. So you've got two types of surgery. You've got an invasive type, where they take the whole area away and they're dead sure that they've removed the whole thing. And then you can get more of a keyhole surgery, where a keyhole surgery where they basically just drill in a hole and remove the keratoma. That type of surgery, the smaller type of surgery, is great because actually the healing time is a lot quicker and it's a lot easier to manage. However, there is a higher rate of the keratoma regrowing because you haven't removed all of it. Whereas when you take that whole area of hoof away, or the veterinarian takes that whole area of hoof away, then you can pretty much guarantee that you've removed all of that keratoma and it won't grow back. We're not going to do anything special to him today. He doesn't need it anymore. He's just in a normal pair of fronts. He could do with a bit of support and things like this, but he's not. He's living out at the moment and he's not doing a lot of work. So actually, for him at the moment, we're just keeping him in a normal set of shoes with nothing spectacular until Tessa, the owner, decides to get back on and ride him properly when she's not busy at work. Are you now? Yeah. But yeah, he's looking good. He's looking good. Okay, so initially after surgery, I went into the vets and we had a discussion about how we were going to shoe Dragon, and then we shot him to the veterinary prescription in this case. Obviously I had my input and we basically went with the same idea, so that was convenient for everybody involved. And we had a pad and a bar shoe on his foot with some dental impression underneath, and then we left the area of the keratoma free of the dental impression underneath the pad so that it wouldn't get infected, but we filled it with arty mud. And then we had the plate over the top, which was a hinge plate, which meant that Tessa, the owner, could pack that area twice a day, every day, for 3 months. The area was packed. The plate itself we took off after the first shoeing because it wasn't needed anymore. The tissue was granulating quite nicely. The plate was there just for a bit of protection and to hold all the surgical swabs in place that were being put in. So the surgical swabs were being put in twice a day, and after that he was just bandaged. He was on box rest, as we said, for 4 months. Veterinary consultation, I touched base when I saw the vets about it, but it wasn't a, oh my God, we need the vets to be involved in this every single time we shoe him, because actually I could take a photograph, send it over and go, this is what it's looked like. I'm happy. Are you happy? We got a thumbs up. Everybody was fine with that. And then we just continued down that road for the whole, for the shoeing. And then we gradually reduced what he had on that foot in relation to what we needed to do. So we left the bar shoe and the pad on for a while. And then after about 7 months, I think it was, we removed the bar shoe. He was obviously still being treated for his navicular issues. And because of his treatment for his keratoma, it meant that we couldn't see how he was getting on in his navicular foot. So we left I potentially could have taken the pad off sooner, but we left the pad on because we needed to bring him back into full work to see how he was doing with the other issues involved. His recovery was really good, and we don't need to worry about that foot anymore. So unless you've got other underlying issues like conformational issues or laminitis or something like that, normally keratomas heal once they've been taken out really well. I think if they do the smaller version of the surgery, then there's a 25% chance of it reoccurring. But apart from that, he's done really well. As a farrier, you don't really see keratomas that often. I had it once where it popped out at the bottom of the hoof. This horse was on and off lame for a little bit, which is interesting because normally keratomas don't cause lameness. And then we were trimming it up, and I think it might have been a sole keratoma, so keratoma that was formed around the solar corium, which is a bit of where the sole grows from, and that popped out the bottom of the sole around the heel, because in a normal keratoma you see it at the front of the foot. And I think again that is because you get that hitting trauma, which causes a problem and then causes a void, and that hoof production is changed, and then that keratoma grows from that. It's got a load of mud in my eye. Good boy. Oh, cheers, mate. So the keratoma used to be here, running up here, and as you can see that's completely gone now. You can see there's a slight change in horn tubule colour here, but there's nothing untoward that you can see from this outside, and he's just shod in a normal shoe with a tiny bit of medial support, and he's getting a bit bored.